Right, so I have Michael Tremer here from the IPFire Project. I'm going to do a Q&A with him because he's here and because it's a really, really interesting thing that I'm quite interested in from a technical standpoint and from actually deploying it after having deployed things like Untangled before in the past, which is similar to the IPFire Project. So I'm going to ask Michael a load of questions and then hopefully which he can answer in some form of way, and then go from there. So, in the most basic of terms, what is the IPFire project? If people haven't really heard of IPFire.
Well, IPFire is a Linux-based firewall distribution.
Mm-hmm.
You can use it as a router, as a home server. It's very well used, or very widely used in businesses, smaller businesses, and even slightly bigger businesses. And well, it replaces your ISP router, and it comes with a lot of functionality that can make your net faster and better and things like that.
Much better than those shitty Belkin ones you buy in the shop.
Certainly that.
Yeah, because they're just awful. And what features, I guess, make IPFire better than, say, something similar like Untangled or PFSense or one of the other ones that kick around? Well, I could say IPCOP, but especially we'll go into that later on. But what is there any features within IPFire that make it better or make it more, maybe perhaps better for specific people within?
Well, yeah, you can't certainly say that there is some better distribution out there. There are, of course, alternatives like PFSense and Indian Firewall and all these different sorts. But all of them, including IPFire, they have some distinct features which are really good and maybe lacking in some other distribution. They don't have that feature.
Yeah. And
IPFire is actually very good for schools. They like the content filtering system where you can filter the content the pupils can access.
Which is good.
Yeah, of course, because they have some sort of law. They
do, especially within the UK. Probably in most where else definitely on the continent anyway, I would have thought, and within the US, I guess, because it used to be proxies that they used to use, and now people can get around that quite easily. So doing it on the firewall was actually quite cool.
Yeah, you can just block access to the malicious sites.
Yeah, malicious sites and things like Facebook. You don't want them to.
Well, not only Facebook. The main reason is sites which are not for people under a certain age.
Yeah, so we've got like keyword filtering and that sort of stuff. And
yeah, we actually use a blacklist for that.
Blacklist, yeah.
And if pages are on those blacklists, you can't simply access them.
Which is great. Yeah, I suppose that's quite interesting, isn't it? Because I know that, say, likes of Untangled sort of do that, but it's a bit of a weird. It kind of does it like keyword searches and stuff, and it's a bit of a mess. And it's kind of, I suppose blacklists are a better way of policing.
It's working very well, I think. Yeah, and that's not the only feature of the proxy server we have.
No, of course, but the proxy server's got loads of really funky bits and pieces within it that does some really cool stuff.
It also makes it quite complicated to configure.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it does make it very complicated to configure, but there's some really, really cool sort of things in it, like, well, I suppose like caching, which is interesting for people that've got hardly any. I suppose the bandwidth is a little bit crap.
Yeah, a lot of people in Indonesia, for example, use that, and Africa, and well, even in our countries.
Yeah,
where the
bandwidth is a little bit. Because in the UK, it's not too bad if you've got.
It depends on where you're living.
It depends on where you live, and I guess it depends on whether or not your company wants to pay for the proper business grade connection as well. I mean, if you want to pay for 100 meg up and down, pretty much can get it in the UK. It's usually not
and even if you have a fast connection and need to share that with a couple of people.
Yeah, but by the time you like
a business building.
Yeah.
Where we have installation with like 500 employees accessing the internet, everyone at the same time. So that's not. It can be quite busy during the lunch hours.
Yeah, they're definitely when everybody's looking at Facebook and pictures of cats and
and
all the videos and other stuff like that. Yeah, so that's quite cool. And as far as I mean, can you give a brief history of like where the IPFire project maybe came from in terms of it? Where did it sort of come from its early beginnings? Where did it sort of split off from and things like that?
Yeah, we forked IPFire from IPCOP. IPCOP is, I think, very, very well known in the United States, and it was also in Germany, for example. But at some point we felt that we needed some more functionality, and we started like in 2003, maybe, at that time around. And we added functionality like the file server and the voice over IP server, which is asterisk. and yeah, after some time we added so many features that we felt that this has so much diverged from the original distribution, and the IPCOP developers were not very keen on accepting our patches and our functionality.
That's good.
So yeah, then we now have some very distinct distributions, I think, where IPCOP provides just the basic
routing and
the routing.
That's kind of it.
Yeah, maybe that.
DHCP and maybe a bit of NAT and then that's kind of it.
Basically, a little bit more, but basically what the ISP routers provide of functionality. Of course, it's much better than the ISP routers still. But if you want more functionality, and if you want something like the content filter, and if you want to have Road Warrior VPN services, and if you want to have even the possibility to add things that you need on your network, and then the best choice is IPFire, I think.
Which is really good. And so what's the eventual plan for IPFire, if there is a grand plan to sort of to push through? I mean, like in 2 years' time, where do you see the IPFire project going in terms of, is it literally just expansion, or is it?
Well, expansion of the user base would be great. I think we are doing a good job on that, but we could also be
just more people, basically, in terms of the community and developers and
of course,
documentation.
An open project can never be too big, I think.
No, I don't think so.
But a lot of people don't really care about their routers.
No, they don't.
And they use the crap things that they get from their ISPs.
Yeah.
And if we get more people convinced that they should use some other software like IPFire, for example.
But then I guess you've only really got the likes of the business users really that are...
Especially the business users, because they have much more to protect than home users. And therefore these people definitely should change their ISP router and use some proper firewalls. Because an ISP router is not a firewall.
No, it's crap. It's just, you might as well just bin it. You might as well just not even bother with the amount anymore. They're so rubbish. They just pretty much just give them away for free, and they get really, really hot, and they're just like the power behind them is just rubbish. And
well, they're not that bad at all. They work at least.
At least they work. I guess it's better than nothing.
Maybe the biggest problem they have, because people just accept those things. And well, if I would run a business, and if I have to protect my ideas, my developments, what I do, I certainly need something better.
You need something better than just nothing. Oh, there's a big pigeon just flying past. Yeah, because I guess if like consumers don't really, I mean, they kind of do matter, but not so much as say something like Microsoft wouldn't use it, but some big huge company, maybe like a bank or something like that, that needs to be on 24 hours a day, or that definitely doesn't want like the Russians hacking in and trying to steal their intellectual property or something like that, which is kind of where something like IPFire comes in, because it's really customizable, which is really quite cool.
Yeah, of course.
So who actually uses IPFire from like a user base sort of standpoint?
Well, the user base are, I think, 50% business users and 50% home users, from what I roughly estimate from the data we've got. We have got some service which is called Fire Info, and if you enable that, you can, your system will send a profile of the hardware you're using, and we can make wild guesses about the environment, because you won't have a big server in your home, or but then you will have like a BC server if you were powering an entire office building, for instance. Yeah, for example, like that. Schools, for example, when you have like 1,000 pupils, then you will need some bigger machine, obviously. And from that data, we guess like 50% is business users, and and 50% is home users. And also 50% of the user base is coming from Germany, and there are some bigger chunks from other German speaking countries like Austria and Switzerland, just because we have a huge support forum, which the people over there speak mostly German, but there is also an international section where all the rest of the world is talking about the project, and there is an Indonesian forum somewhere.
That's quite interesting. So what's the best feature you think that IPFire has that other people don't
Well,
have?
it's very hard to pick just one. There are a lot of things that I personally find very interesting from a developer point of view.
Yeah.
Like call, for example, is one of the recent things we implemented, and we got a lot of positive feedback back from that.
Yeah.
And if I must name something, then I would say it's the extensibility of the entire system. You can form it to whatever you want.
Yeah.
If you want to run it on a small machine like the Raspberry Pi, for example, it just works. And if you have a bigger environment you want to provide with the internet and with internet access, and if you need something more to than just a router or just a simple firewall, then
so it scales quite well as well, doesn't it? From
and I think that's one of the best features. Where we have just one distribution, and it
just works
can
on
be
everything.
so many things. It can be a small router, and it can be a big router.
And it can be like a filter. Well, it's like you can filter the internet, and it can do many other things, and kind of, I suppose, it solves a lot of problems that people have in terms of traffic management, because especially with Codal and quality of service less so, because you've got Codal running in the background.
It depends on how fast your connection is and how much data you have to transfer. And if that data exceeds the uplink speed, then you definitely need the quality of service
to manage VoIP and all the other bits and pieces you have going through your network. So I think that's pretty much it. So where can people find out more information if somebody wants to just download it and install it on their system and have a play around? Where's the best place to do that? Probably just IPFire.org?
Yep.
Is that the best place?
So we have a wiki if you install the system and you need help setting it up. It's not very hard to do.
No.
But if you need assistance, there's a wiki where you can find documentation about all the features, and even if you have something to add, please add it to the wiki.
Do it, because it's Because that's one of the things that we kind of want more. I say we. It's not we. It's Michael and Arnie.
No, we all want that.
Yeah, we all want that. Because the documentation needs. It sort of needs a little bit of work to it from the English speaking side. I mean, there's some stuff there which is great. It just needs that sort of needs pushing through. And I think that's because of lack of people and lack of. Essentially lack of resources, isn't it? Because you've only got so many hours in the day to do coding and everything else, and
but it's a community project.
No, it's
everybody is
got a big
invited to take part in and to improve the project. It doesn't necessarily have to be development stuff.
No, it can be just anything.
I'm happy if someone wants to send patches and implements new features and things like that. That would be really great. But there are also a lot of other things to do, like the documentation. There are other users who maybe just start with IPFire and who need some help, some advice how to get things along. And there's so much to do in
there's so
project.
Much to do. So. Be good. Well, thanks very much, and I should be back in Plymouth next week. But thanks very much to Michael. I'm also here with Arnie as well, who's off camera. But apart from that, I shall catch you in a later video.